Believe it or not, the 2022 Heisman Trophy will be handed out before we know it. As we continue our off-season coverage on this channel, in today's video, I want to introduce you to the 2022 Heisman race, as we're going to go through 6 legit contenders and 6 dark horse candidates who I think could bring home the trophy next fall. There's not much more to explain, so let's just get started. So the first guy I want to talk about is none other than Jackson Smith-Njigba. In my eyes, he is the best returning wide receiver in college football, and I think pretty much everyone can agree with that statement. What he did last year behind Olave and Wilson was truly incredible, and he could have one of the best seasons we have seen from a wide receiver in college football history. It's also not too far-fetched that he could win the trophy, because just a short time ago, an Alabama receiver by the name of Devontae Smith brought home the trophy. Njigba was insane last year. Led by Stroud as his quarterback, he caught 95 passes for 1,606 yards and 9 touchdowns. Keep in mind, he still had to do that with Olave and Wilson beside him, and this year, Ohio State is going to be on a mission, and I think Njigba will as well, so he can have a 2,000-yard year, and I think he'll definitely have over 100 catches and 2,000 yards, but can he get his touchdown number high enough, and can Ohio State win enough games for him to bring home the trophy? That is what I'm wondering. Up next, we have another dark horse, and that is Dorian Thompson-Robinson from UCLA. This is probably going to be the most unpopular pick from today's list, but DTR has been insane throughout his time at UCLA. He has started the last 4 years, and he had his best season to date last year. He led the Bruins to a breakout season in which he threw for 2,500 yards and 21 touchdowns, and also had 600 yards and 9 touchdowns on the ground. UCLA brings back a lot of their talent from last year, including their star running back Zach Charbonnet, so alongside those two, and a pretty weak Pac-12, if DTR can continue to put up big numbers and lead his team to 11 or 12 wins, then maybe he could be a finalist or bring home the award. I'm not saying it's likely, but I'm saying it's possible, and you can't ignore how productive he has been. The next pick is all based on potential and not production so far. Last year, D'Eriq King was supposed to be the starting quarterback for Miami, but after he got hurt, Tyler Van Dyke took over. No one expected the kid from Connecticut to do this, but when he started playing, he went off. In only 9 games, Van Dyke threw for 2,931 yards, 25 touchdowns, and only 6 picks, while showcasing that it factor. With new head coach Mario Cristobal, expectations are going to be very high for both Miami and Van Dyke, and if he can win a lot of games at Miami, put up big numbers, and continue the trajectory he's on, maybe he too could be a finalist or bring home the trophy, but again, that's pretty far-fetched. Up next, we have Sam Hartman from Wake Forest. Behind Kenny Pickett, Hartman was the best quarterback in the ACC last year, and Wake Forest has dark horse playoff aspirations, and their quarterback is also a dark horse Heisman contender. Last year, Hartman threw for 4,300 yards with 39 touchdowns, while also rushing for 363 yards and 11 touchdowns on the ground. We all know that it's easier for a quarterback to win the award, but we also know they have to put up monster stats and win a lot of games. So the question will be, can Wake Forest win enough games in big moments, and can Hartman put up the same kind of numbers? If so, maybe he could find himself holding that trophy. After that, we have Quinn Ewers from Texas. Ewers has been hyped up as one of the best quarterbacks in high school football history and was always supposed to save Texas. After spending 1 year at Ohio State, he is now transferred back to Austin and will likely be the starting quarterback. From what I've heard, Ewers has looked incredible, and if he can live up to the hype and play as good as we know he can play, he has all the weapons around him to put up big-time numbers. He has an opportunity to play against Alabama, and the schedule looks good enough where they could win a lot of games. If Ewers puts up big numbers and Texas wins a lot of games, Ewers could be an option for the award. To close out our dark horse contenders, I'm going to finish with Dillon Gabriel at Oklahoma. After originally committing to UCLA, Gabriel decided to flip his commitment to Oklahoma and join Venables and his former offensive coordinator, Jeff Lebby. Coming out of Hawaii, Gabriel started 2 straight years in which he put up nearly 8,000 yards and 80 touchdowns. He got hurt against Louisville in 2021, and after missing the rest of the year, he decided to enter his name into the portal, and as we know, he went to UCLA, and now will find himself in Oklahoma. It's pretty much certain that he's going to be the starting quarterback in Norman, and with the Sooners' track record at that position, the notoriety of the program, and how good of a coach Jeff Lebby is, it would not be that difficult to see a world in which Gabriel leads the country in passing touchdowns and passing yards, and he could easily bring home that trophy. Now let's talk about, in my eyes, the 6 guys with the best chance to win the award. The first 2 real contenders we're going to talk about are running backs. The guy we're going to spotlight first is Bijan Robinson. He was a former 5-star recruit from Tucson, Arizona, and he arrived at Texas with huge expectations. He had a pretty solid freshman year, but last year is when he really made a name for himself. With the Longhorns, he ran for 1,127 yards and 11 touchdowns, while also catching nearly 30 passes for 295 yards and 4 scores out of the air, and he averaged 6 yards per carry. Robinson was a true threat to take the ball to the house every time he touched it, and he made defenders miss like it was in a video game. Unfortunately, he did battle an injury towards the end of the year, and there was a lot of dysfunction with the Texas program, so if they can just figure that out, Robinson has the talent and the highlight-making ability to potentially win the Heisman Trophy. We're just going to have to wait and see what else happens around him. The other running back is Wisconsin's Braelon Allen. You may or may not be familiar with him, but you definitely need to be. Coming out of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, Braelon Allen moved from linebacker to running back and was only 17 years old when he arrived on campus. In fact, he was 17 years old for all of last fall, and he took off. After Ches Malusi got hurt and Jalen Berger got kicked off the team, Braelon Allen was forced into the starting role, and he would start the last 9 games of the year, which was incredible. He had 140 yards and 2 touchdowns in a win over Purdue, 228 yards and 3 touchdowns against Nebraska, 173 yards and 3 touchdowns against Northwestern, and 159 yards against Arizona State. As a 17-year-old, he was plowing through guys who were 22 years old, and with Wisconsin's history with guys like Melvin Gordon, Monty Ball, and Jonathan Taylor, there's no reason to believe that Allen won't be the top running back in college football next year and could run his way into the Heisman Trophy. After that, I cannot help but mention Will Anderson. He was a finalist last year, and some believed he should have taken home the award. At Bama in 2021, he finished with 57 tackles and 17.5 sacks, which led the country. Also, you have to keep in mind that entire offenses were scheming around this guy and throwing double teams and putting receivers and tight ends on him, and they still couldn't stop him. He's the number 1 overall pick for the 2023 draft right now, and while unfortunately he probably won't win the award because he's a defensive lineman, he deserves to be in the conversation, and this guy is a monster. Now we get to the 3 guys who I truly believe will be the finalists for the award. The first one we're going to talk about is Caleb Williams. After becoming Spencer Rattler's backup, the former 5-star recruit from the DC area took over after the West Virginia game. He came in during the Red River rivalry and willed the Sooners to a victory and kept their playoff hopes alive. His Heisman moment came against Kansas when he literally pulled the ball out of his running back's hands and got the first down. Williams finished with 1,900 yards passing and 21 touchdowns, while also rushing for nearly 500 yards and 6 scores on the ground. When Lincoln Riley left for USC, it was the worst kept secret in America that Williams would follow him, and he will now head to Southern Cal, where he'll play against worse competition, have Lincoln Riley as his coach, and can build on last year. The only thing that could get in the way of Williams winning the trophy is if his injury bothers him or if USC doesn't win enough games. Williams is a legitimate contender and could be the best quarterback in the nation, but he's going to have to fight off 2 other stars. The first of which was a former USC commit in Bryce Young. Coming out of high school, Young decided to flip from USC to Alabama, and after backing up Mac Jones in 2020, he took over in 2021. What did he do? He broke Alabama records. He threw for 4,872 yards and 47 touchdowns, while leading the Crimson Tide to the college football playoff, where they would eventually lose in the title game to Georgia. Young ended up winning the Heisman Trophy, and he is a presumed top 5 to top 10 pick for next year's draft, so he'll have all the hype in the world. There are 3 things that could stop him from winning the trophy, one of which, he set the bar so high it might be hard to top. Secondly, he already won it, so they might not want to put the same guy twice. And thirdly, Bama will need to figure out the wide receiver room. While there's plenty of talent and some great transfers that are coming in, they don't have a bona fide number 1 option right now, so they have a couple things to figure out. But if Bryce Young can build upon last year, he has a chance of winning the trophy again. But as I said, I don't think they're going to give it to the same person twice, so that's why I believe the next guy is going to win it, and that is CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud was a late riser coming out of high school, and ironically, he was from the state of California. He decided to go to the Buckeyes, and after beating out Jack Miller and Kyle McCord, he took over as a starter in 2021. He threw for 4,435 yards and 44 touchdowns, and had the highest QBR in college football. He finished in the top 5 of last year's Heisman voting, but the moment I believed he was going to win the 2022 Heisman came in the Rose Bowl. He had one of the best performances I've ever seen from a quarterback, and the look in his eyes tells me he wants to win a title, and he wants to hold that trophy. Stroud has the best receiver in America in Jackson Smith-Njigba, and combining that with all the talent on the team and a favorable schedule, I think Ohio State will go undefeated, win the college football playoff, and I think Stroud will be the guy holding the trophy. He's honestly my favorite quarterback for this year, and I'm definitely super excited to see how he's going to play. So yeah, in today's video, we talked about 12 different Heisman contenders, 6 of which were dark horses, and 6 of which I believe were legitimate ones. Who is a dark horse that I did not mention, and what are your thoughts on who's going to win the title next year and who the best players in the game will be? Be sure to let me know down below, smash that like button if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.
you.